Good day, sir. Are you ready for your interview?
Yes, sir. I am ready.
So, from the five functions of poetry mentioned, which among the functions seems to be the most informative and would likely affect how you teach poetry in the future?
In five functions of poetry, I think build reading, speaking, and listening skills is the most informative and likely to affect me how to teach poetry in the future. For me, it is not enough for you if you just know how to or create a poem. But you also need to practice reading for comprehension, speaking for delivery, and listening to what others say or opinion. It is also, um, if the student will master that, then it would be better for the student to become a good poet in the near future.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the second question is, form your personal observation. Are there any differences and or changes with how children's poetry and poetry in general are structured and presented before and nowadays?
In my own opinion, I believe that there are differences and changes between children's poetry and the poetry in general in the structure of poems. In children's poetry, the words used by the poet are easy to understand and on point. There are no hidden meanings and it is really made for kids. While in poetry in general, it focuses on interpretations and principles of life. Some phrases are not understandable in just one read, and you also need to think deeply to get what is the message of the poem trying to convey.
Thank you, sir, for that informative answer. So, the third question is, explain this line from a poet and writer, Janet Winterson, that poetry, it isn't a hiding place, it is a finding place. I repeat the question. Explain this line from a poet and writer, Janet Winterson, that poetry, it isn't a hiding place, it is a finding place.
It isn't a hiding place, it's a finding place. So, poems are mostly or commonly made by poets just to hide what they feel or on what they think. We usually tend to think that their pieces are their way to show what they cannot express. But let us not think that way because there are poets that find poetry as their resting place, that poetry is their way to express what they feel and experience. That poetry is their way to find happiness and contentment.
Thank you, sir. The fourth question, sir, is, there are suggested steps to follow in teaching poetry to the younger audiences. Why do you think it has that arrangement or flow?
Young learners are very sensitive and fragile. Whatever the teacher or the elders tell to them is what they will believe in. Teacher are the initiator of learning, and it was still in their mind that teacher is a reliable source of knowledge. That is why we need to follow the suggested steps in teaching poetry because there are some learners that can easily grasp ideas or learnings in a poem, and there are some that are not. Some of poems are structured, therefore the words that are used have hidden meaning, and the student might misinterpret that will lead into different interpretations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.